This is Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in San Diego County today, joined by Dr. Sunny Cooke. She is the superintendent of Mira Costa College, which operates 4 community colleges in North San Diego County. And about 50 years ago, your voters were asked to pass a bond. They did, but it's been 50 years.
Right.
And so now you are turning to your voters, which covers, 8 communities, 7-8 communities, and asking for a $455 million bond. Not alone, there are, I think, 7 other school districts that are looking for the same. Talk to us about why now, and what will it do?
Well, it has been 50 years, as you said. JFK was president at the
Wow.
time, and so we've done a remarkable job of offering really high-tech, high-demand kinds of educational programs in aged buildings. And we've tried to do the best we can with annual budgets and private donations and with borrowing money. But at this point, we really, over 60% of our buildings are in the worst condition.
I like how you say aged.
Aged,
That's one way to say
aged,
it. In other words, stuck in the 20th century.
Yes, and we're trying to create a 21st century learning environment. So,
And so let's talk about specifically what would the bond do, because you have a list of projects. You've been very specific with your voters.
Right.
Looking at a veteran center, training facilities, tech, students with disabilities, and then just deferred maintenance, which is important, science. Give us a sense.
Yeah, we started with an educational master plan. So we started with what does our community need us to deliver in the future. And the new space that we're building is around those areas. So science, technology, engineering, math, STEM fields, and then nursing and allied health fields.
Which
nursing where we need
is
to expand.
Critical. I mean, we have a dearth of nurses, and they're well-paying jobs.
Right, and they're great. These are great careers for folks, and they're needed by our community, our nation in the future. So that's where we're going to focus on new building. We also want to, make our services to students, so support services, really comprehensive and in one stop. So we're going to sort of consolidate our student services and our veteran services in particular.
And
they
we're
now
in San
have
Diego
to run
County.
around. Right, veterans are very important to our community. We have to run around all over the place to get the services that they need. So we want to build a comprehensive Veterans Resource Center as well.
And the language in the measure is clear. No funds going to be taken by the state, and no funds going to be spent on salaries or pensions, which I presume you've learned important to voters.
Right, absolutely. None of this can go for operations of the campus faculty and administrative salaries or pensions. It's all going to be in a local building program, and as you said, we have a very detailed plan that puts the project list forward, and we'll go down that list.
I want to talk about Election Day, November 8th. When the voters of Mira Costa go to the ballot, there will be a lot of items on that ballot. President and senator and assembly and senate and Congress. But also, specific to your communities, San Diego County has Measure A, which would be a sales tax increase for transportation projects. Del Mar, which is one of your communities, one of, I guess, 7 or 8, they have their own sales tax measure, Measure Q. Then there's Prop 51, which is a school construction bond, $7 billion for K-12, $2 billion for community college, the cigarette tax, the Prop 30 extension on the wealthiest, lots of revenue measures.
Lots of tough choices for voters to make. And I think the thing that really separates us from many of those measures is this funding stays locally. This funding invests in the future of our communities through public education, which always leads to a more educated populace is a healthier population. Generally, those folks that have some college are more active in their communities. They're leaders. They live healthier lives. They're less dependent on social services. And so to get a college education or some part of a college education is really crucial to the future of our community. And so we're really looking at people to take the long view on this.
Let's presume Measure MM passes, and let's presume Prop 51 passes, the school construction bond.
Right.
If Measure MM passes, can that passage be used to leverage Prop 51 dollars, that $2 billion going to community college?
The local funding really is a requirement nowadays for us to be competitive for any state funding.
So your timing's good.
It is good. And we've not been able to attract state funding in that way because we haven't had a local bond in 50 years. So in some ways, we've been leaving state money on the table rather than bringing it to our community.
I want to talk about and innovation in community college. There's a state senator named Marty Block. You know him well, I'm sure.
I do.
He represents significant portions of San Diego County. For years, he had been working on a measure that would allow community colleges to offer bachelor degrees. It was a fight that he would not give up.
Right.
Ultimately, he was successful.
Right.
SB 850 passes.
Right.
And it allows 15 community colleges, of the 113 I think it is, to offer a bachelor degree program. It's a complicated formula, no duplication with CSU, UC. How many applied? Maybe 35, I think, applied.
Right.
15 won.
Right.
You won.
We won.
You
we
won. Tell us about Biomanufacturing, your bachelor's degree program.
We're so excited because it really builds on the strength of our existing biotechnology program, and it meets a really important critical need in North County and the San Diego region in general about taking products, biological products that need to be made as drugs and treatments that are in the manufacturing arena. So you take something from research and development, you then have to manufacture it, and you need specific kinds of trained folks to do that. And we're the only program in the nation that will be offering this program.
And I don't know if you know this, but the superintendent of Mira Costa College, you're a biologist.
I'm a biologist.
So it's got to be particularly sweet to have this program launch, because the SB 850 required no duplication, which we can talk about in a second.
Sure.
How did you come up with biomanufacturing? Because like you said, it's unique.
Yeah.
You're a biologist. I'm sure
Yeah.
there are plenty of reasons for the program other than your background. But be that as it may, how did you develop this? Were you there when the program was developed?
I was just entering when they were developing their application, and certainly was involved in some of the work. But I would say we had to look really at what are our strengths already, what does our community need, and we did sit down with our local CSU partners to say, what would we be interested in doing, and how does that not end up duplicating something that's already paid for by taxpayers? So it's a very careful set of steps that we took to identify our strengths already, and what does the workforce need from us, and then how do we not duplicate a public education system?
At the same time, and look, I know that SB 850 was a lot of hard work, and it's a pilot program, so I shouldn't get too anxious about the non-duplication, but I do like to discuss this issue of non-duplication.
Sure.
We are a state that is massive, and if CSU Chico has a program, and it's the only place that has that program, your students at Mira Costa may not be able to get to CSU Chico. And while I understand the issue of non-duplication, could it be that, since you are part of the pilot, that as we look towards renewing SB 850, that we look at non-duplication with more of a laser focus? I mean, it's one thing if San Marcos, CSU San Marcos has a program. Mira Costa probably doesn't need to do it. But if there's not regional duplication, is it wise to have non-duplication?
I think we have to look at it. I think we have to look at supply and demand, and the opportunities for students within regions, and that's really the way our system is moving, is towards regional economies and supporting that. But I do think that we're going to have to create more and more pathways for students to go to public university and get the training they need, because what we're seeing across the nation is proprietaries and private schools are really not doing well for some of our students. ITT Tech just had to close down, and leaving students really in a lurch all over the nation. And so there's added pressure on private schools and proprietary schools, for-profit schools in particular, to make sure they're doing the right thing for students. So I think wherever possible, we need to make public education pathways for our students to really help boost the local economies, the regional economies, and meet workforce needs.
Her name is Dr. Sunny Cooke. She is the superintendent of Mira Costa College in North San Diego County, where we are today. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for joining us on Local Edition.